Church, Dr. Brown, moderator, church family, and welcome to all our visitors. Bless God and happy Black History Month. My name is Brother Emmanuel Justus, and I'll be doing a 10-minute presentation on name two people that helped to free the slaves. Name one person in Canada and one person in America. I will begin my presentation with John Graves Simcoe, a white man who was born in 1752 and he died in 1806. He was a British Army officer, a politician, and a colonial administrator who served as the Lieutenant Governor of Upper Canada from 1791 until 1796. John Simcoe was born in Cotterstock, Northamptonshire, England. Simcoe played a pivotal role in the abolition of slavery in British North America by initiating the Act Against Slavery in 1793. This legislation made Upper Canada the first colony to legislate against slavery, preceding the abolition of the slave trade throughout the British Empire by 14 years. Bless God. This act was inspired by the forced kidnapping of an enslaved woman named Chloe Cooley in 1793. Simcoe acted to introduce legislation that restricted slavery. He pushed through the Act Against Slavery in 1793, which banned the importation of slaves into Upper Canada, and this mandated that children born to enslaved people would be automatically freed at age 25, leading to the gradual abolition of slavery in the province. Although the act did not immediately free slaves, it did prohibit new slaves from entering Upper Canada and ensured that children that were born to enslaved women were freed at age 25. However, the Act Against Slavery officially passed in 1793, leading to the abolition of slavery in Upper Canada by 1810. It was superseded by the Slavery Abolition Act in 1833 that abolished slavery across the British Empire. It is also important to note that Chloe Cooley's resistance is now recognized as a pivotal movement, and she was declared a National Historic Person in 2022. In closing, at the age of 54 in Exeter, England, Simcoe died from a sudden illness described as asthmatic paroxysms, or severe respiratory issues, which developed after he fell ill while traveling to take up a new appointment as a commander-in-chief in India. He became seriously ill on a ship, with some accounts suggesting that the fresh lead paint on the vessel aggravated his lungs, causing severe respiratory distress. He was buried in Wolford Chapel, his family estate in Devon. Also, it is good to note he was famously known as the founder of York, which is now Toronto, and was a major figure in the early history of Upper Canada. Now on to our second person, Harriet Tubman, who was a female American abolitionist and social activist born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland. Harriet's actual date of birth is unknown. There is a rumor of her being born in March of 1822, but other listed dates are 1815 and 1825. The exact date of her birth, unfortunately, is not known, but she lived until March 10th of 1913, thus making her 91 years of age when she died. And biographies have accepted 1822 as her date of birth. This is common among slaves, where the actual date of birth or location is not known. Harriet was born Araminta Minty Ross to enslaved parents Harriet Ritt Green and Ben Ross. Ritt was enslaved by Mary Patterson Broadus and later her son Edward. Ben was enslaved by Anthony Thompson, who became Mary Broadus's second husband, and who ran a large plantation near the Blackwater River in the Madison area of Dorchester County, Maryland. It is important to know that Araminta Minty Ross, as she was born, changed her name to Harriet Tubman around 1844 to 1849, thus combining her mother's first name, Harriet Ritt Green, with her husband's last name, John Tubman. This change honored her mother, and it marked her marriage to a free man. It also acted as a symbolic step toward her own freedom, which she achieved in 1849. As a child, Harriet suffered a traumatic head injury by an angry overseer that threw a heavy metal object at another slave, but hit her instead. This injury caused her to have dizziness, pain, and spells of hypersomnia, which continued throughout her life. She began to experience strange visions and vivid dreams as a result. She believed that these were premonitions from God. This, along with her Methodist upbringing, led her to become devoutly religious. As a result of these visions, she believed were from God. She used her faith to overcome fear, viewing her work as a mission from God to deliver enslaved people. Much like Moses in the Old Testament, she was also nicknamed Moses. Harriet Tubman was nicknamed Moses because, similar to the biblical prophet who led the Hebrews out of Egypt, as we know, she guided dozens of enslaved people to freedom via the Underground Railroad. As a renowned conductor, she made approximately 13 perilous trips back to Maryland, rescuing family and friends without losing a single passenger. In 1849, Harriet escaped to Philadelphia, only to return to Maryland to rescue her family soon after. Slowly, one group at a time, she brought relatives with her out of the state and eventually guided dozens of other enslaved people to freedom. Tubman, or Moses as she was called, traveled by night and in extreme secrecy, and later said she never lost a passenger. After the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was passed, she helped guide escapees farther north into British North America, Canada, and helped newly freed people find work. Tubman met John Brown in 1858 and helped him plan and recruit supporters for his 1859 raid on Harper's Ferry. When the Civil War began, she worked for the Union Army, first as a cook and then a nurse, and then as an armed scout and a spy. For her guidance of the raid of Combahee Ferry, which liberated more than 700 enslaved people, she is widely credited as the first woman to lead an army military operation in the United States. After the war, she retired to the family home on property she had purchased in 1859 in Auburn, New York, where she cared for her aging parents. She was active in the women's suffrage movement until illness overtook her and was admitted to a home for elderly African Americans, which she had helped establish years earlier. Tubman is commonly viewed as an icon of courage and freedom. Harriet Tubman's legacy remains as being an American icon even in the years after her death. By 1980s, she had become one of America's most famous figures. She was inspired by generations of African Americans struggling for equality and civil rights. She was praised by leaders across the political spectrum. In closing, Harriet Tubman died of pneumonia on March 10th of 1913, and just before dying, it is said that she quoted the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 3, "And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, and that where I am, there ye may be also." Harriet was buried with semi-military honors at Fort Hill Cemetery in Auburn. This concludes my presentation. I do thank you for listening and allowing me the opportunity to present today. God bless and enjoy the remainder of the service.